Assalamu alaikum. Um, I hope you and your family will be safe during this pandemic COVID-19. May Allah bless the humanity. We are starting our online classes today. In these online classes, the mode of teaching is very simple. I have recorded the lectures that I would share on WhatsApp group. You can download from WhatsApp group, or I will provide you the link of my YouTube channel where I will also upload these lectures so that if any student deletes or they miss the lecture, they can get it from there. First, you will see this recorded lecture and listen it. It will be not more than 15 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes because it's very hard to upload more, longer videos on the WhatsApp. So after this, I will also share the presentation on the topics that we discuss here. So today the topic is educational philosophy of Imam Ghazali, and we also discuss Ibn Khaldun and his educational concepts and philosophy. I have selected only 4 topics from lesson 1 because they are more important and more, little bit complicated. So Imam Ghazali, Avicenna, Ibn Khaldun, and Allama Zarnoji. We will discuss about this from lesson 1. After every lecture, you will also find a presentation in PowerPoint on the topics, and then there are some questions at the end of the presentation. You need to write down on a paper and send its image to me through the WhatsApp. I will read it and give the comments. If you have any kind of question, don't send me any voice message. I will not reply. You should write down the question on the WhatsApp group, and then I'll reply. Okay, now we start our studies. Educational philosophy of Imam Ghazali. Imam Ghazali was born in 1058 and he died in 1111. Imam Ghazali, his name was Muhammad ibn Muhammad at-Tusi al-Ghazali. He was born in Greater Khorasan, Iran, in Tus, when Iran was the part of the Seljuk Empire. And Imam Ghazali is considered one of the most prominent scholar amongst the Muslim philosophers. His main interests were in Sufism, theology, rhetoric or kalam, philosophy, logic, Islamic jurisprudence. Imam Ghazali also wrote some very important books: The Revival of the Religious Sciences, Incoherence of Philosophers, The Alchemy of Happiness, The Moderation in Beliefs, on Legal Theory of the Muslim Jurisprudence. These were his main works which he has presented, and we benefit from these. Imam Ghazali's major educational concepts are: reality cannot be reached without knowledge. This means that we cannot recognize the creator of the universe, Allah, without seeking knowledge. As you know, when the first revelation came to Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, that was read by the name of Allah. So that means that knowledge actually enables an individual to recognize Allah and to recognize the reality of the universe that has been created by the Creator, by the Sovereign, by Almighty Allah. Prophets get real knowledge through revelation. And Imam Ghazali has also explains that the Prophet of Allah actually are enlightened and they get knowledge, they get ilm through wahi or through revelation. And without that, without receiving message from Allah, they do not speak. So this is the most important point of his educational concepts. He believes in this, that actually Allah gives them the command and then his prophets speak. Third important concept that he has presented in his philosophy of education is knowledge is power to think, criticize, evaluate, and infer. Now these are four different four different domains of knowledge. Number one, when we seek knowledge, the basic purpose of knowledge is to enable human being to think about metaphysical and material issues of his life. When we talk about the metaphysical affairs of the life, that means we think about who has created this universe and why universe has been created, why I have been created, what is the basic aim of my life. And when we talk about the material needs of human being, that is related to the basic needs like diet, like education, food, shelter, love, affection, and then different needs of life. All kind of needs of life that is related to passing life. So very first thing that knowledge empowers human being is thinking. And thinking actually is of two types, positive and negative. And positive and negative thinking actually makes the character of a human being. Then is criticize. When we use the word criticize, that means we try to find out the good points and the bad points of something, some manuscripts, some kind of the character of the human beings, the personality of the human beings, books, manuscripts, and other kind of different tools of knowledge that we use. We criticize. Criticize means we try to give our input in separating the good and bad. And evaluation means we evaluate whether that manuscript or any action of a human being or his writings or this kind of other related things to knowledge, whether they meet the standards what have been set and whether they are able to use or not. And infer means to derivate the meanings of something from written manuscripts. A new knowledge is acquired through thinking and reasoning. John Dewey says knowledge is constructed, and Imam Al-Ghazali says that knowledge is acquired through thinking. First we think, then we think about this. Why this is means why. 3 W's: why, what, when, how. This is reasoning. So then we think about reasoning. So thinking and reasoning are interrelated and they create new knowledge. They help us to seek new knowledge. Thinking and reasoning makes man the superior to angels. Angels also remain busy and worship every time. But Allah has gifted human being with thinking. He can he can make the difference between good and bad. And this is the point. This is the thinking. Why, how. And then reasoning is cause and effect. So this makes the man superior, because on the basis of this the man makes the decision. Thinking and reason keeps human being dynamic. When we think, we keep on finding new vistas of knowledge, our thinking gives new dimension to the knowledge. Our thinking gives new directions to our knowledge. So it's there. Knowledge and faith supports each other. Ilm or Akida, knowledge and faith, they are interrelated. Your knowledge helps to propagate and defend our faith. It helps to understand the meanings of faith, and knowledge helps to understand the faith. And faith is related to our metaphysical life, our beliefs. And beliefs need interpretation, and interpretation comes through knowledge. Next topic is types of knowledge. Types of knowledge according to Ghazali are of two types. Ilm Mahmud. Mahmud means pure, beneficial. So the knowledge that is beneficial for human being, he says this is the Ilm Mahmud. And Ilm Mazmoom, knowledge that is harmful and injurious, dangerous for the human beings. Now, objectives of education according to him: number one, recognition of Allah. The Quran and Sunnah implores the recognition of Allah is the ultimate aim or objective of the education. So when we learn being a Muslim to recognize the existence of Allah Almighty. So power to think and reason empowers over material knowledge. First of all, ilm, knowledge, helps human being to learn this point that Allah is one, Allah is supreme, Allah is creator of the universe, and He has created us. Acceptance of will of Allah. Second thing is, when we start acting upon on the teaching of Quran and Sunnah, is basically to surrender to the will of Allah. This is the second most important objective that has been set by Imam Ghazali. Promotion of ethical values. When we talk about the ethics, the teachings and preachings of all the prophets of Allah is basically ethical values that actually demands us to be very careful about Hukuk Allah and Hukukul Ibad. So if we want to groom the personality of a learner, we need to promote the ethical values in the society through the curriculum, through the education. Then education helps to develop the role model. That means when children comes to the school, they study, they are actually engaged in two kind of activities. On the one hand, their cognitive domain is developing, their cognitive abilities are knowledge, and on the other hand, their attitude or affective domain, how they behave. So fourth important objective according to Imam Ghazali is the development of an exemplary personality, which should be the role model. So education helps us for creating better citizenship in the country. Concern for material needs. Education also should be for the training of the human beings, and they should be able to earn, work, and they should have some skills to work so that they can meet the needs of basic needs of life. Capturing the universe. Education helps human being to explore the universe and its mysteries. Exploration of universe is essential for betterment of mankind. Allah commands in the Holy Quran for doing so. Exploration of universe means to explore what is in the space and what is beneath the earth, what is on the surface of the earth. So human beings should use knowledge, skills, and new methods of learning to explore it. Now, Ghazali divides curriculum into two kinds of, into two types. Number one, farz ain, that is necessary to do, that is necessary to learn. So these are compulsory subjects: beliefs, aqidah, tamam aqaid, prayers, dealings, fiqh, hadith, tafsir, compulsory for Muslim learners. These are compulsory subjects. Farz kifaya, which are optional subjects, which we learn, like agriculture, medicines, political, trade, weaving. These were at that times were the most important subjects. So he emphasized upon this, that this is not necessary to teach all the Muslims like the farz ain, but farz kifaya, most of the Muslims should learn this, any one of them or all of them, to earn. And then Ghazali suggests some teaching methodology for the teacher. Number one, preparation for the lesson. Lesson planning in modern times today is considered the most important tool of the teacher, because in the lesson planning, teacher starts to plan. Teacher actually plans from objective to outcomes of the lesson. To how, when, where he will teach this, and at the end the revision and recapitulation, and then he assesses through asking the questions whether students have achieved something, they have got something or not. So he at that time suggests that preparation for the lesson is very necessary. Use of previous knowledge of the previous times and the recent times are interlinked, because हिकमत मोमिन की खोई हुई मिरास है, जहाँ से मिले ले लो. So wisdom can be achieved from anywhere, from where we can get it. So he suggests that teachers should link the previous knowledge with the current knowledge. He should link the previous lesson with the next lesson which is going to teach in the class. Lesson according to mental level. We should speak to the students, we should impart knowledge to the students according to their age, according to their mental capacity, according to their level of perception. Easy to difficult. A good teacher always starts from easy part of the lesson and then he moves towards the difficult part of the lesson. So when you will become teacher, you should adopt this method. Easy presentation of lesson. Make the lesson very easier so that students should not start yawning in the class. They should be engage with your discussions. And cordial teacher-students relationship. Teacher should be affectionate and friendly to the students, and students should be obedient to the teacher. So these are the main teaching methodologies. Significant principles for a good teacher. Students are like sons and daughters. Teacher's personality must be composed and balanced, and talk according to the age and ability of your students. He emphasizes upon keep on advising students. Moral values of teacher is very necessary. Teacher morally should be at the very high pedestal. No corporal punishment. He is not in favor of giving corporal punishment or physical punishment to the students, but he thinks if there is some serious mistake by the students, so to give him a lesson or to teach him a good attitude or to bring to the right way, he suggests 3 lashes in case of severe mistake by the students. And he also believes that beating of the students actually lowers the respects of the teachers in the heart of the students. Guidelines for the students. Number 1, students should not be proud of knowledge, because when we proud of our knowledge, the decline starts and we cannot learn more, because no one is perfect and knowledge starts from cradle to grave. So if we are humble, knowledge starts to accumulate and increase, and it's incremented. But if we become proud, knowledge starts to decrease and reduce. Students can learn more and more if student is obedient to the teachers and he listens them. He thinks the teacher is superior to me. He has more knowledge, he is more experience. But if you think yourself that I am superior to teacher, I have more knowledge, I can beat him, I can knock down, so then you cannot learn. Away from bad deeds and evils, make the personality a very pious and always be humble, always be affectionate, always learn good and oppose evils and remain away from bad deeds. Mastery on all basics of knowledge. Whatever the subject we learn, we should learn its basic major concepts. Learn step by step. First, if we, as in this time, we have different subjects in our intermediate classes. So in that time, he suggests first complete one subject, get mastery over in it, command over that, then start the next. But with the passage of time, it changes. Gain knowledge gradually. Learn step by step. Learn slow and steadily. And now his famous books, Incoherence of the Philosophers, is 11th century book titled The Incoherence of the Philosopher, marks a major turn in Islamic epistemology. Second book was his autobiography that he wrote in his last age. The Revival of Religious Science, Araya Ulumuddin, is the most important book of his life. In this, he talked about fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, theology, Sufism, and other fields of Islamic knowledge and sciences. The Alchemy of Happiness is rewritten version of the Revival of Religious Sciences. It was second time written. And then Disciplining the Soul, one of the key sections of the Ghazali Revival of Religious Sciences. And Disciplining the Soul, in which he focuses on the internal struggle that every Muslim will face over the course of his lifetime, because we keep on an eternity of the world. Al-Ghazali crafted his Aristotelian viewpoint on the creation of the world, that how this world was created, and it was very he benefited from Aristotle, and then it was compatible to that. Now we are talking about Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun was born in 1332-1406, and he belonged to Africa, Tunis, and in the Hafsid Sultanate of Africa. He was born on 27th May 1332, and in 17th March 1400, at the age of 73, he died in Cairo, Egypt. And he was very famous for his traveling to the different parts of the world, and his main interest was historiography, sociology, economics, demography, political science, and his notable ideas, a cyclical theory of empires, that they reach to the top and then they decline after some time, and this cycle of advancement and decline of the empires continue. Asabia means nation and nationality and nationhood. Economic growth theory, supply and demand theory. And then Ibn Khaldun educational concepts are very simple. Learning is a natural demand. Learning is like a food. Learning is a food of soul. As we need food to survive, learning is necessary to survive spiritually and intellectually. Material needs are associated with life. Learning helps to develop the skills that help us to meet our basic needs of life. Learning makes man superior from other creatures of the earth, as we have discussed just now. Ghazali says thinking and reasoning makes the man superior. So is the same here. Thinking is essential for man. Without thinking, man cannot become a human being, because other animals have, they have instinct. and we have different, we also have instinct, but we are superior because we have the mind and we can think. And then main objectives of education according to him: education is a physical need, recognition of Allah through five senses that Allah has given to human being, through spiritual sense, through our beliefs, through our Islamic teachings, and then creativity and research. It's very important in his studies. He says originality of ideas is the creativity. When your idea is your own, you do not pleasure, you are not involved in plagiary, and you do not steal the idea of anyone else. If your idea is your original idea, this is originality of idea. Comprehension means to understand what is and why it is. And thinking and creativity are interlinked. When you think, you create. And emphasized on discussion. When we discuss, then we discuss the advantages and disadvantages of something. So discussions in the class, discussion among the students brings the good results. Promotion of super values, no corporal punishment for the students, development of self actualization, what am I, and development of self-confidence among the students is the most important objective. Development of thinking ability, firmly believe in your faith, and then knowledge and skills. Knowledge actually enlightens and skills help us to work and या जिसे हुनर कहते हैं. Ibn Khaldun guidelines for curriculum. Number one, when you set the curriculum for the students, curriculum should be according to the age group, according to the mental level, according to the level of understanding, and according to the attitude of the students. Proceed from easy to difficult content. Teach the students. When you write down the book, when you select the topics to teach in the class, first start from easy, because then you make the students tuned and gradually they go further. Mother tongue should be the medium of instructions at the primary level, because when we teach our kids in our own language, it is easy for them to understand. The modern scholars, amongst the modern theorists, Paulo Freire of Brazil has written a book, Pedagogy of the Wretched, in which he actually went to the different suburban areas, into the slums, and where he taught the students and the local people. Then he developed the pedagogical terms for the students and the people out of their slang language. Mathematics is compulsory and the first subject that is suggested by Khaldun, because mathematics is the mother of all sciences. And then he emphasized upon Holy Quran must be the second most important subject and compulsory subject. And then comes the types of knowledge by Ibn Khaldun. Types of curriculum by Ibn Khaldun. Number one, insight-based subjects, logic, philosophy, mathematics, physics, meteorology, music. These are related to our life and material needs. Imitation-based, that is related to our religious knowledge, like Tafsir Quran, Fiqh, Hadith, and then is grammar of and jurisprudence, etc. Now, Ibn Khaldun teaching strategy progression. At the first stage, teacher should go gradually and make them memorized to the students. Some problem should be discussed, complexities should be discussed, then discussion. In the discussion, no rote memorization. Give the topic to the students and ask them to discuss their original ideas and think and express. So discussion of the problems, and in the last to teach them how to solve the problem. So he actually emphasized upon discussion for problem solving. And then traveling or tourism. He believes that when we travel into the different countries, we go to the different areas, we interact with the different culture, different languages, different backgrounds of their knowledge, and historical context. So traveling is basically the most important source of knowledge. It widens and broadens the vision of the students. So he says seeking perfection in your subject from different teacher comes through the traveling and meeting with the different teacher. So if you complete perfection, get perfection in one subject, then turn to the next with the second one, seek knowledge from where you can get it. Teacher student relationship, he demands the students to be obedient, but he also he suggests the teachers polite with students, encourage students for learning new knowledge and skills. If teacher is not equipped with learning and knowledge, he is he cannot impart in the class. Freedom of expression, teacher should give the freedom of speaking and asking questions, but question should be relevant to the topic, to the knowledge in the class. If some irrelevant question is asked, then teacher should relate it to the knowledge, and students should be dealt with psychologically. Teacher must be able to understand the psychology of the students. So this was the lecture for the day. I hope it was enough for revision. Here is an assignment given at the end. Number 1, enlist important books of Imam Ghazali and Ibn Khaldun. What methods of teaching of Imam Ghazali suggested? What method of teaching Ibn Khaldun suggested? Give a comparison of Imam Ghazali and Ibn Khaldun's suggestion regarding curriculum. Bye.